talk about Mr. James Gunn. I wanted to feel like I kind of wanted to do a check-in on us, but I want to see how you're feeling right now about just the DCU, Superman, some Brave and the Bold stuff. Just want to hear your mind on how you feel about some of the updates with James Gunn and what's going on and how you're feeling, kind of going into just right now.
I I'm torn because I feel like it's good that there's a lot of DCU hype, but I don't like that it's all around Superman. But I kind of think that it is what it needs to be right now, because if the hype was split, if James Gunn, and this is why I'm torn, because Superman's not my favorite character, but I understand that the DCU needs to succeed. And for the DCU to succeed, Superman needs to be a smash hit success. So I'm taking what I want and kind of putting that to the side for the greater good for the DCU. And I want to see more personally from the Lanterns. I want to hear more about Batman, the Brave and the Bold. But there's a reason James Gunn isn't giving us more photos from Green Lantern. There's a reason he's not going to announce the Batman actor until probably after Superman's run. I think there were some rumors that they were going to announce it like right before. I think that's BS, because I think that the way the hype is right now for the DCU is very healthy. The hype is all around Superman. And if they released any information about the Batman actor, that hype, it's a bandwidth. So some of that 100% is going to get to Batman. If they put out more photos or a trailer for Green Lanterns, the Lanterns, some of that 100% is going to go to the Lanterns. So it's good that all the hype is on Superman, because this movie needs to perform very strongly in the box office, because Warner Brothers is not in the healthy position financially. And for the DCU to continue, Superman needs to bring in a lot of money to fund the rest of the DCU. So as much as I want to see more from Batman and the Lanterns and maybe even Flash or whatever, I think it's more important that Superman performs in the box office this summer. And that's why I feel calm about where the hype is for the DCU and Superman, because this movie is so hyped up. It is crazy. And I think that some of the discourse makes people think differently, but like, the way people are talking about this movie is different. The hype for this movie is different than anything else. You could feel it. I mean, seriously, you could actually feel that it's different. We haven't had a movie been this hyped in a really long time. And I know we're all excited for Fantastic Four, and some people are like really hyped for Thunderbolts, and I'm hyped for it. Don't get me wrong. But I know like some people are like really hyped for Sentry and whatever. But the way people are about Superman, that's something else.
Yep. So I have like a Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? So this is my Hall of Fame. George Lucas, Christopher Nolan, Kevin Feige, and now I think James Gunn is going to take that spot in the Hall of Fame if the DCU pans out. So the way that I kind of view it, bro, it's kind of like a cell phone, like each mind would make certain strides, but there was a cap on what they could do, and then we got Steve Jobs, where the iPhone was just everything and more. And now we have now because of the iPhone spearheading, now we have all these other phones that are coming out. So like I think George Lucas was the starter, introducing a brand new franchise in Star Wars, and it got so many fans just enthralled. And then we got literally 6 movies of just story building. Then we got to see Nolan do his Batman trilogy, which is arguably, and aside from whether if I hate it or not, it is probably And Captain America would be a hard second. It is arguably the greatest trilogy of a hero of all time. And I do think, though, one of the hardest things that people had a hard time dealing with was the death of Batman, or was the death. I feel like a lot of people didn't like the ending of it. And then hold on, wait. So I'm just saying, just like in general, like a lot of people didn't like how the Dark Knight Rises ended. Like, and I've done so much research on it. A lot of people did not, but a lot of people accepted it, even though that they weren't fans. Then we go to Feige, where Feige takes, because he said Nolan was a big inspiration. He takes what Nolan did and turns it into a whole entire full-fledged universe. And Feige gave us what no one really thought was ever going to happen, was the Avengers. We got to see Spider-Man, Jerry, in space. Like, I can only imagine how many fans didn't even know that Spider-Man goes to space. We got introduced to a vast universe in over 20 movies, over 10 years of content. And the one thing that I think James Gunn has the potential to do is take it a bit further than what Feige has done. Because I do feel like the Infinity Saga was his cap, and further projects have shown that the Infinity Saga was kind of where he peaked, and now we're kind of, and I'm just being real, we're kind of seeing his downfall. And I think that James Gunn has the opportunity to go further than what Feige has ever done. And depending on what he, and depending on how he sets it up, this could be going for a long time. So I do love how he is treating Superman, bro, because of the fact that our hype isn't based on Brave and the Bold, or all of these other films. Like, he doesn't have to talk about all of these movies every day, or all these extra shows and movies every day for us to care. And I do think that he's been very strategic with only marketing one film. Because I did think that with the and that's also why, bro, I don't think he's released any more Lantern stuff. Yeah, exactly. Because I really do think that, like, as you said, if they announce Batman, just kiss attention of Superman goodbye. You know what I mean? Just as you said. So I really like the way that he is playing his cards. And I really had to talk about this with just taxes and tariffs, right? If done right, we're good. If done right, we are set. And but I do have faith in James Gunn. And the one rule that he has that I love is, he said, we will never go forward without a finished script. And I think that will save, and I think that's what will save him in the future.
So I love what you said, because that's how innovation works. It's not one person or one team, and some people innovate, and it's kind of like a football team moving down the field towards the end zone, and one guy might run the ball 10 yards, another receiver might bring it down another 15, and it's kind of like what I've also said from day one with James Gunn and the DCU, is that they're going to innovate in ways that we don't really understand yet, because we haven't seen. I think one of those ways has to do with the fact that the universe pre-existed. So there are going to be stories that are told in different ways that are catching up with things that happened in the past. And no, that's not just going to be limited to flashbacks and callbacks in the ways that we've already seen. I think James Gunn is going to get really creative with that. And again, things that we can't imagine yet, because I am not the innovator and creator that James Gunn is, but I'm just imagining the ways he's going to imagine and create things that are new and fresh and innovative. And I think it's really interesting that, because I think Marvel and DC it's going to be competitive. Okay. And competition is a good thing, because they're always going to have to try. They're always going to be trying to better the other. And when each of them are trying to make sure that their product is better than each other's, they're only going to be improving their product, and us, the consumer, are going to benefit. competition is a good thing because it makes for better products and it's better for the consumer. Now, the other thing here is it's interesting that this is coming at a time where Feige is kind of on his downfall. And we're not taking away from all the innovation that Feige has done. You know, Stevie's analogy, I don't know if you said this, but Feige is the iPhone. I mean, Feige is the one who really developed the shared universe. Before it was standalones and trilogies, maybe, I think Christopher Nolan obviously opened the audience to receive something like a shared universe from Feige, but Feige is the first person to ever build the concept. And the DCU is going to be different. And it's definitely the strategy to keep the focus on Superman. And it's like I said before, with the discourse and the Snyder cultists, like they could throw their temper tantrum all day, every day. I mean, I saw one of them on Twitter before, and they were like comparing toys, and they were like, which one would you get if you for your kid? And someone was like, oh, well, I would just get whichever one, he wanted. And if my kid isn't with me, and the guy was like, okay, your kid is with you. Which one are you going to get? Like, bro, you're comparing a toy. Like, are you kidding? The quality of a toy is not indicative of the quality of the movie. Like, are you serious? It's just so silly. And I think that a lot of this stuff, thank you, Smiles Frown. We appreciate the donation. So I think a lot of this stuff is silly, and I don't think it's really resonating with most people because the hype for this movie is just different. And it shows in the numbers when anytime they've released anything, the score, the trailer, the extended preview, whatever they want to call it, the numbers of views and likes and all that kind of stuff, the metrics are insane. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be the movie of the summer. I have no question about it. I know some people think Jurassic World is going to be the movie of the summer. Absolutely not. Superman is going to smoke everyone. I am telling you.
Yep. And I also think the answer that James Gunn has to find, if he hasn't found it yet, is I do think Feige and George Lucas got stuck at, what do I do after my big event is over? After the biggest event that I've planned is over, what do I do next? And George Lucas and both Kevin Feige, I do believe they got stuck at those points. And I'm gonna be honest, I have a lot of faith in James Gunn to lead us to this big, whatever this big event is. And what I am going to be really waiting for, and this is where I think new concepts are going to drop, and I think we're going to see something very different. The next step that drives movies forward is what happens after your large event, And I also think another movie that might be leading to that too is Mission Impossible, because Mission Impossible is another film that it looks like Tom Cruise is winding down. So I'm also waiting to see what he's going to do next with that as well, because I've heard that they've kicked around some ideas. So I do think that there is a point in time where I'm waiting to see what James Gunn is going to do better, where I think Kevin Feige lacked at. You know what I mean? And that's no diss. That's just the way innovating works, as you have said, everyone has a limit, and that's where the next creator has to come in, and they push the bill forward.
You also have to be able to learn from the mistakes of the people around you. And that's, again, how innovation works. James Gunn has the luxury of almost 20 years of the MCU to look at and learn from. So he definitely has an advantage in starting the DCU that Kevin Feige didn't have.
100%.